how can a company like National Semiconductor come into an industry like solar without really knowing a whole lot about it and make an innovation like Solar Magic and win the product of the show at InterSolar?
Right.
You say, how could that happen? Why hasn't somebody done this before? Because nobody's doing electronics
Yeah.
anywhere in the solar industry. The semiconductor industry has grown in roughly the same period of time as the photovoltaic industry. The semiconductor industry has grown to $300 billion.
From the late 40s till early 50s.
Actually, yeah, from I'd say the late 50s.
Okay.
Because we just celebrated this year the 50-year anniversary of the integrated circuit. So $300 billion, and it took us 50 years to get there. Enter photovoltaic. Around the same period of time, last year was $37 billion. But that was up from $17 billion the year before, which was up from about $10 billion the year before that. So we've now seen a relatively flat growth market. Boom, do that. Why? Because for the first time in that industry, we have a demand driver that is universal. It's a planet that wants to be clean, an environment that wants to be green, and it's going to drive demand for solar and other alternative renewable energies in an exponential curve. So I think it's going to be very big. If Obama's right, it could create a lot of jobs because we're just at the infancy of this industry. And one of the things when we were out talking to all of the panel suppliers in Asia and in Japan, they all had a similar concern, which is Obama going to be a protectionist and only offer stimulus in the United States to United States companies?
Interesting. Buy American first.
So they're all thinking, how can I look like an American company, being Japanese, being a Japanese company, being an Asian company, and I think what we'll see is that they'll all put manufacturing plants in here and enough of an identity to look like they're a U.S. company. And that'll, of course, create jobs.
Okay. So you think do you think the state of California is doing enough?
No. I kind of like the idea of these feed-in tariffs that everybody else seems to be doing. I mean, Taiwan and China and Japan have all announced.
Spain, Germany.
Spain, yeah. Spain. I think Spain and Germany have enough deployment that they're not emphasizing the feed-in tariffs like they used to, but that'd be something easy for California to do. Everybody in the United States and all the politicians are driving this industry out of the country as fast as they can, and driving the talent out as fast as they can. And to me, it's just, why? What don't you understand? Let's go back and do, for example, H-1B visas. Why is this such a tough issue? Why isn't it just automatic? Somebody gets a PhD, you don't ask them what country they came from. You staple the green card to their PhD.
Welcome.
Just a done deal. Welcome. You know, China has a program, and I forget what it's called, but it's all the people we kick out of this country. They make it incredibly easy to come to China and find their wealth. I think it's called Green Path or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. And in Europe, they've proposed a program, I think, called Blue Card or something like that, where just make it easy for these people to come and do for those countries what they did for the United States. And so to look at this as something that steals jobs is completely fallacious. I mean, the best and the brightest will create jobs no matter where they come from. And then you have to go back and you say, well, not only are we discouraging the imports of great talent, but we don't do anything to stimulate interest in math and science in our own education system here. I think the good news is that we're still the IQ magnet of the world. People will still try to find a way to get here. Almost every appliance can run off DC. Most of the appliances in your house run off DC. And everything that has a brick at the socket is you're converting it back to DC, right? But yet, solar arrays, what's the first thing we do? We invert
DC to AC,
the DC to AC, and then we send the AC into the grid in the house, where at many sockets, it's converted or rectified back into DC to drive the electronics.
So in Palm Springs, you could have like a DC house almost. I mean, just have enough solar on there.
You could have a DC house. You could have an off-grid DC house today, and maybe just put inverters at the refrigerator or the things that have motors. And I'm being told that you don't even need to do that there's plenty of motors, DC motors, that run very efficiently that could do the refrigerator job. So why is that important? Because every time you invert from DC to AC and then convert back from AC to DC, you're wasting energy, up to 20%. As the computer itself evolved to the mini computer and the PC, we went through the evolution of centralized to distributed. And now everybody's got multiple computers in their house, computers in their cell phone, purely distributed. What's the analogy in medical? Today it's all centralized. You want to get an MRI or something, you go to a
You have a
hospital.
doctor at a hospital.
Wait in a waiting room. And the reason for that is these machines take a massive amount of power, sometimes 220 volts. So what if you could take that kind of electronics and distribute that to the home so that you could do as easily as you do blood pressure monitoring today from something that comes out of a counter at Loans Drugs. You could check your heart for blockage in the valves, because now you have analog circuits that can do things much more efficiently than DSPs and microprocessors. And if you think about it, the one thing missing in Moore's law, he never said anything about power.